My name is Chimaringa Waller. I'm with the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement. I want to approach this issue from a little different angle. So I think what we have here is more than just about a sidewalk and free speech. While those are important, I think the bigger question is this $700,000 of taxpayers' money that you're finna give away, that you're going to give to a multi-billion-dollar corporation that's involved in questionable activities in other places while you're giving them money, then they're getting sued in other places. That doesn't make any sense. If you got $700,000 you want to give away to a multi-billion-dollar corporation, we need that money in the black community. We need that money to help create businesses in our own community, not give $700,000 to a business that's already failed. We didn't cause it. That was their bad deal. So we demand the right to free speech, but we also demand that economic development be done in the African community, and that $700,000 can go toward that.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Peter Swartz and Peggy Stone.
I'm Reverend Charles S. McKenzie, Jr., and I stand this morning not because I'm against business or private enterprise. It is the life's blood of commerce in this country. I stand here this morning because I'm in opposition to seeding this public sidewalk to help facilitate private enterprise, because this is a public entity purchased with public resources, constructed for public access, dedicated to public use. This is a First Amendment issue. It is a public trust issue. It is a public accountability issue, and it has potentially far-reaching legal ramifications if the council votes to cede this public trust. I'm not attempting to speak truth to power, because power often knows the truth, but sometimes will conveniently decide to circumvent it for reasons that are not always abundantly clear. I'm here this morning because, as Honorable Jamie Bennett stated, the business of democracy sometimes brings about angry winds and noisy disunity. But I submit to you this morning that this noise and this anger is often the soil from which the trees of liberty are nurtured. Our nation was founded on turbulent winds. And I urge you this morning to look at all sides of this issue, make an objective analysis, and let your conscience be your guide.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Justice Kennedy wrote that when you put a limit on speech, you put a limit on thought. And the government, this body, should not be in the business, not of violating the First Amendment per se, but of violating the spirit of the First Amendment. I've been one of the protesters, and not the protesters for pro-Palestine. I've been the guy on the other side of the street protesting against the protesters. But I've also enjoyed Baywalk. I go to 100 movies a year. I drink more dirty martinis at Dan Marino's than probably anybody in that building. And so I hate to see it fall apart. But if it means losing our First Amendment rights, then let Baywalk fail.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Council members, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Let me first say this is the first time I've ever come to this council and spoke. That should tell you the significance, I think, this places on this council and this vote. Very important. I respect the right to free speech. However, and I was concerned that the attorney that got up speaking earlier today with the ACLU was going to tell you that you were legally taking away free speech. He backed away from that and said you're not. Don't be lured into this being a free speech issue. This is really a power issue. It is the ability to influence the financial success of a venue to get your point across.
Good morning, members of council, Mayor Baker. My name is Ross Previll. I'm with the St. Pete Wealth Management Group of downtown St. Petersburg with Raymond James. I do believe that when you took this position, you did take an oath to abide by the Constitution. I'm not sure just how much that applies here, but you also agreed to do the business of the city of St. Petersburg. This isn't about the right to free speech. This isn't about the right to assemble. This is about the right of the owners of Baywalk and the tenants of Baywalk. They have rights too.
I hear about the constitutional right. Well, I think I should have a constitutional right to take my family to Baywalk and enjoy a movie. I should have some rights too.
First thing I wanted to say with regards to City Attorney Wolf's comment, I don't know exactly what happened in Salt Lake City, but this is not Salt Lake City. And maybe people there were willing to accept their freedoms being taken away, but people here in St. Pete are not. If Baywalk or the city did get any complaints, it's not because we block people, and it's not because we are a security issue. It's because of our message, our voices. A lot of people support us, and even more people support our right to be there. But some people don't want to see the truth, don't want to see the number of U.S. troops dead, or the names or faces of those men, women, and children we've killed in Iraq, Afghanistan, or Palestine. It offends them. Some people want to stay in their little bubbles, watch American Idol, update their MySpace, then go out to Baywalk for a movie or dinner and remain oblivious to the atrocities being done in their names. But people's blood is on our hands. Our tax dollars pay for it, and that fact doesn't go away just because people don't think about it. As if that isn't sickening enough already, people in places of authority like yourselves, instead of listening to us and instituting policies based on peace and understanding, not only ignore us, but try to silence us, try to take away our most basic fundamental rights. But we will not be silenced, whether here at City Hall, at Baywalk, in jail, or even in death. We will not be silenced. Our words will echo in your ears and in your children's ears. The future doesn't belong to the forces of reaction and repression, but to us, to peace, and to freedom.
Good afternoon, Tom Lingo, reasonably polite dissenter. I do protest, and I hold up signs trying to inform my fellow citizens of things I think that need to be brought up. I've done some reading, which is a big step for me, and I find things that say things like, in a democracy, the currency is information, and we seem to be lacking that. I myself hold up signs that say things like, in 2008, the United States represented 48% of all the military expenditures in the world. And people were amazed by that. They knew we spent a lot, but they didn't realize how much. And when you explain to them, like countries like China and Russia, they spend about 5%. And people are, I read something recently, said something to the effect of, you can gauge a democracy by the liberties it gives its dissenters, not the liberties it gives its conformists. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker.
I'm very much a believer in constitutional rights, civil disobedience, and the protection of those liberties of our Constitution and Bill of Rights. But as we've all known, it's been clearly stated that you cannot yell fire in a crowded theater. I think this is very similar. We have some restraints. I think the revitalization plan provides for those restraints to allow civil disobedience, protesting, whatever, under the Constitution. I would urge your vote in favor of the sidewalk vacation and the revitalization plan. Thank you.